That's not it. That's a good start, isn't it? That's just a still image, that.
Keep this in.
Hello, and welcome back to the 13th Reel Podcast, your weekly podcast where we talk about films, TV, YouTube, music, things, anything that's caught our eye in the last week in the world of entertainment. We have myself, Ash, we've got Crippy, who hates Avatar with a passion, seen the second one 3 times at the cinema, and Liam, who's never seen Die Hard. I mean, come on. How are we doing that?
Cheers, Ash. Good.
I suppose we'll let you off for not seeing Die Hard. I mean, it was before your time. But
I don't know, when did it come out?
Travesty. Like 86.
80s, bloody hell.
Oh, it's 80s, yeah.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to check now. I can't just sit with that
Yeah.
in my mind. So kick it off.
And it heralded a new age of hero. Didn't it, as well?
Yeah, it totally changed the scape of action films. So it was 88.
I don't know why I've never watched it though, because it's like the type of film that I'd watch.
Oh, I guarantee 100% that you'd love it. But
yeah, even to this day, you can watch it and appreciate it.
You might be like me with the Goonies. It's just like I've seen it and I didn't like it as a kid. Everyone rolls their eyes at us when I say that I don't like it. And now it's just become a source of stubbornness. Like I won't watch it again just because I don't want to change my opinion because I've died on this hill for years. And I know I probably would like it if I watched it now. So I'm not going to, just out of stubbornness. Anyway, this week our homework was to watch the Raid, Gareth Evans directed Indonesian martial arts flick. And I think we had all seen it before, hadn't we?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of like a rewatch. And I said to you yesterday that I wasn't even going to bother rewatching it because I've seen it that many times. But I did, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Because there's so much in it that I'd like, not so much forgot, but I probably wouldn't have thought to mention.
Yeah.
I'm assuming we've all done our homework this week on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
You've done that homework, have you? Not the homework you were set last night.
Would never miss a task to complete before the pod records.
Did you watch it, Crippy?
I watched the Raid, yeah.
You are?
When did you watch it?
This morning. Finished it 20 minutes before we started recording, so there we go. It's fresh in my mind as it should be.
Crippy last minute cook. Right, and so we'll kick off then. What were your thoughts? We'll start with Liam. You're usually quite quiet on this podcast because Crippy just goes on one. So we'll start with you.
But I don't know if you want to start with me because I'm going to upset you both.
Oh no!
You don't like it?
Don't say that, Liam.
No,
Liam.
Fuck.
It's just. I mean, I don't know. I got so bored very quickly.
How do you get bored? It never stops. Yeah. I mean, it takes a while.
That's
to start.
It. I think that's probably it. Like, there's just. I'm not saying there's too much going on, but like, yeah, it's just repetitive. I don't know. It's just, yeah. The thing is, when I was watching, I was thinking, oh my God, when I say this, Ash is going to flip. I'm just sat there watching, I'm like, it's just, yeah.
I will say that I picked more flaws in it last night when I was watching it, or yesterday, whenever it was.
Me too.
But more with the editing than anything else.
Yes. A lot of continuity errors. You can see where the face isn't quite where it should be when he's been punched. It looks a bit.
Yeah.
That's because of the budget. So I kind of
sort of like skipped frames as well, where you can see where they've took the stunt out and then they've come back in and it just hasn't quite matched up. Shit like that was just really annoying us. But I think that just comes from being a picky bastard, really, watching so many makings of behind the scenes things, and it does kind of ruin a viewing experience when you start getting to that level of nitpickiness.
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming the film for that. I'm blaming myself because most people just wouldn't notice. They would just be like in awe. I mean, I didn't for the longest time. You're just in awe of the action.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't look too hard on it. But when you've already seen the movie, those things you notice more because you know the story of it. So you're not paying as much attention to dialogue
you're just looking
and
at the fights. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, and the fact that I had to watch it with dubbed as well, like that did.
Oh, the dubbed actors are awful, aren't they? It doesn't even sound
terrible.
I know. it just
kills sometimes all the emotion. They'll leave a pause in the middle of a sentence to try and sync with the actor's like mouth movements, and you're like, why? It doesn't make sense. It sounds stupid. It sounds unnatural. Just do your thing. We know that that's not his real voice.
It didn't tell anything like how it should do now.
I mean, me and Crippy should have watched it dubbed as well, just so we can get involved in that bit. Because, I mean, like I said, it's what I just lost interest so quickly in it when I was watching it. It's like all these things that you'd missed out on. Probably wasn't watching because I was scrolling on TikTok or on Twitter.
I think I will defend Liam, right? Because when I first saw John Wick, I didn't see a trailer, so I watched it not knowing what kind of movie it was. I thought it was going to be sort of Matrixy, a bit more mystery behind it, and I watched it. There's obviously it's a straight action movie, and I didn't really get the allure of it. So I come out of the cinema like, well, what was all that about? It was just like an action movie. They kept on talking about how hard this guy is and how tough he is. And then he kills everyone and wins the fight. Great, big deal. And then I watched it again with the knowledge that this is just a straight action movie. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They're trying to make a good action movie, and I absolutely loved it. And it was more so my expectation ruined my experience of the movie. Whereas with The Raid, I knew what I was getting into from the start, which is why I just thoroughly enjoyed it, because I wasn't trying to think, oh, this is just non-stop action. I knew it was non-stop action. So I was judging it based on how good the action was, the story, how compelling it was, the music, and if I got sucked into the emotions of it all. And also, I looked at how much the movie cost, and I feel that pound for pound is one of the best action movies ever made.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that Gareth Evans, who wrote and directed it, dreamt up the second one before the first one. He's noisy.
He's not happy.
Pound for pound, the best action movie ever made. Bloody hell, some statement
because it cost $1 million. They made it for $1 million, and I think that product for $1 million is damn impressive.
Considering so much some of the effects and the thing, I mean, none of the guns actually fired. That's all digital. Just some of the death scenes and stuff, and you just think, how do they pull that off with no budget? And but yeah, I believe he dreamt up the premise for the Raid 2 before the Raid, but couldn't secure the budget for it.
Yeah.
So he did the Raid so that he could make the money and prove that he could do the Raid 2.
He did that.
And that was phenomenal as well.
You know how much time and effort has to go into a movie like that when the budget's so small. The choreography was absolutely insane. For some of the group fighting, it's incredible how good it looks.
Mental.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously...
a quick Google, sorry. But Ong Bak costs the same as this. Ong Bak, so much better.
For me, hard to argue with that. I absolutely love Ong Bak.
Just because he's no stunt double. He does all his stunts himself.
I mean,
when you see like the behind the scenes and things like that, you actually see him jumping through barbed wire circles and things like that. It's just like, nah, come on, man.
Doing that flip between the two sheets of glass and stuff. Yeah, Tony Jaa's just next level. But Iko Uwais does all of his own fights in the Raid. It's the other guys that are the stunt team that gets swapped out.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, what was I going to say? I don't know. What was I going to say, Crippy?
I don't know either. But I'll try and jog your memory. I'll say I loved it because this movie it's called The Raid. The start of the movie is them setting up, them going to the Raid, and they're talking about how important it is, but you also get a sense of there's something else going on. There's something that character isn't telling them. And then as you watch, you also realize, wait a minute, police officers don't kill people on sight. They don't shoot children. Well, they're not supposed to. So you kind of think this is a bit more than just a raid to try and stop crime, isn't it? There's something personal, and then you realize at the end why. So I felt there was no fat in this movie. It was an hour and 40 minutes. And it felt like it didn't feel long to me. I know it was all action, and that can be exhausting, but it felt it was in service of the story because it shows you how much the main character puts himself, his body through the ringer for this. And I felt that it just everything mattered in it. There are some movies where they're too long, and you can feel it feels longer than they are because the story just doesn't pan out the way you
doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, like Avatar. But this one it felt a perfect length to me, and I could watch it over and over again.
The thing is with this one is I think the first time I saw it, it was just sold to me as SWAT team goes into a block of flats and fights its way from bottom to top.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. That's all it was in my head. And then it turned out there was actually a storyline there as well. I was like, oh, that's actually pretty decent. Obviously, you're just blown away by the action to start with. I mean, some of the things, the first time I saw him smack that guy's head off the wall like 5 times as he's falling down, I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're in for.
Yeah.
And the one over the broken door gets us every time.
Yeah.
That is absolutely.
Yeah, bits like that, I'm like, wow, that's class. But it's just, again, I don't know. Sorry,
the stuff linking it together.
It's only just finished for me. That's how long it took me to watch. I've only just finished it.
How did you feel watching the scene where they're digging the floor? They feel they can hear the floorboards are hollow, and then he digs a hole through, and then he jumps down through. Then the camera jumps down through with him. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that's decent. I see that. That's good. But then there's just so many stupid things. I mean, it's a film, I get that, but you've got guns. Why are you going to jump down and start fist fighting? Just shoot him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're here to raid. Not have a fucking little karate match.
There's one bit that really annoys. I loved it the first time I saw it, and I was watching it last night, and I was thinking, actually, this just pissed me off. And it's a bit where he's hiding in the wall, and the guy's stabbing the machete through. And he goes through at that angle every time. And then on the one that matters, goes in sideways just so they can have that shot. It's like, oh, come on. Doesn't make any sense.
It's a cool shot, but you're going to pick holes at it because you've seen him do it the other way for every single time before that. Yeah.
If he was just going in random and fair.
Exactly.
So, that pissed me off.
The funny thing is with that became iconic, didn't it? That shot became so iconic to the movie. But it's something that I'm sure fans have gripes with to this day.
The setup just doesn't fit.
No.
And that last, when it tries for a bit of comedy where he crashes through the window, just dusts himself off and staggers out, and that last goes, where did he come from? Through the fucking window, Pet! You were facing it!
Yeah.
But like I say, because I've seen it that many times, I think I just sat and nitpicked the shit out of it last night. But I still absolutely adore the film. The soundtrack is immense. Mike Shinoda worked wonders on that.
Yeah. And
how the hell he got him in the first place?
I thought that was because it's kind of weird, isn't it? It's an Indonesian movie, but it's got that kind of Western tinge to it as well, hasn't it? With the music, that was straight out of something we'd see from, and you can see it almost felt like Resident Evil music in a way. Some parts of it did that kind of, just a little bit. But thoroughly enjoyed the music.
But like you got an Indonesian film with a $1 million budget, and you secure the guy from Linkin Park to do the score. I don't know how that happened.
Who must have been fresh off, and obviously they did the song "What I've Done" that was in Transformers only a few years after the movie came out.
Multi-million-dollar budget.
So, that must have been a big favour to the director.
Yeah,
that's all I could think of when you're saying soundtrack. Is any soundtrack, all I think of straight away is Transformers. That's all I think of. Yeah, I don't know why. It's just not seeing it, but I'll say you again. But
oh my goodness! Wow.
I thought you hadn't seen it either, have you?
I've seen the first one. I've seen some of the second one. Yeah.
I thought you hadn't seen it.
I enjoyed the first one. I think the first one's good entertainment. Obviously, there's a lot wrong with it, but it's
hell yeah.
Yeah,
but it's quality in that 80s way, and the soundtrack immense. Especially if you were alive during the time. Did you do your homework on that?
I did not.
I watched it. I watched it when you put it in. It was literally last week. You put it in straight away. So I thought, I'll see what this is. And I was like, what the hell am I watching?
It's mad, isn't it? They've done other films as well, but
so good that one, considering it's made of Play-Doh, basically.
It's clean, just plasticine. I mean, you can even see like the thumbprints. They've gone. I was going to say no expense spared, but no expense spent, really.
Is it like so brilliant. Aardman who do Wallace and Gromit? Is it kind of like that?
Totally
not as
lower your expectations.
Yeah, it's not Chicken Run, but it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not Chicken Run.
I just love the way that they dispatched the main villain at the end. It's just funny as fuck. I'll link it again for you, Crippy. You've got to watch it, mate.
Appreciate that. I've done very little homework this week. Nothing.
All right, then. I think Liam's pissed on everyone's chips enough with not liking the raid. So we're going to have fingers crossed that the next randomizer pick is one of Liam's, because he's getting very upset. So we'll see what it is.
Can we just spin it until I get one?
He didn't.
I'm convinced you've only got one in. I'm sure of it.
That's where I've got. No, I don't know. I've got one to fair.
Memento.
Oh wow! I'm happy again.
That's one of Crippy's, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, Liam.
I've got the most on this list because I just keep adding to it, but it very heavily favours Crippy.
Have you seen that Memento, Liam?
No, I've literally just googled it straight away.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. It's not too Nolan-y though. It's not too bad. He doesn't go overboard like he did in Tenet.
Yeah, Tenet was not a mess, but a mess.
A mess, yeah. Good, an entertaining mess. That's the thing. He always fails with flair. Like I say, it's better than a lot of movies, but messy, very messy. So much dialogue.
Sound design.
I know. The lightness of it was bizarre. But I just felt like I watched that obviously during the height of COVID and stuff, and it felt like that movie just wasn't finished at all.
Yeah. The sound mix wasn't done for a start.
Absolute mess.
So Memento, I have seen.
With Guy Pearce.
I've seen it once,
I've seen it twice. And Carrie-Anne Moss is in it as well.
Yeah, somewhere in this house, I have it on DVD, still wrapped in cellophane, because I ordered it off Amazon and it didn't arrive, so I kicked off, and they sent us another one, and then the next day the first one arrived, so I got it twice. I think they're both still wrapped in cellophane. But it's one that I've wanted to watch again for a long time, so looking forward to that.
I'm not sure how Liam's gonna. Yeah, I'm really not sure. I think he's gonna hate it. I think he's gonna hate it. Because the thing with, I don't want to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a way that this movie is filmed that is the appeal, and I don't think Liam's going to enjoy that appeal of it.
Do you think?
I don't know. I don't think he's going to care for it.
The gimmick's going to be lost on him.
I just think, cause if you don't like it, you're not going to like a lot of the movie, and I fear that that's going to piss him off.
What do you think is going to annoy me about telling too much then, or what's going to get lost on me?
Do you know anything about it at all?
Never watched it. I've got it on obviously on the other window here. I'm just having a little read about it. That's it.
Basically, the crack is it unfolds in reverse.
Yeah.
Because the guy's got amnesia, so he tattoos things on his body to give him notes about what's going on, and he's trying to solve them. It's a murder, isn't it?
Yeah.
On his wife, it says.
Yeah. So it all plays out backwards. So if you can't buy into that, you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah, you'll just think, why don't you just show me in chronological order? That's what it is. That's the thing. Yeah, it's
a feature on the DVD that you can watch it in the right order.
That's
why I bought the DVD. And then I just never watched it chronologically. It sucked. I do want to watch it the right way around, though, just to see if it loses much, because I think it'll probably lose a lot.
I think so. Yeah.
It does lean on the gimmick, and it relies on the gimmick a bit.
Yeah.
But that's for next week.
Exactly. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Getting into it, and we haven't even watched it yet. Liam did your homework this morning, and you caught up on The Last of Us, so we can finally talk about The Last of Us and spoil it for Crippy and everyone else who hasn't watched it. Episode 3, what did you think?
Episode 3 was supposed to be the one where you got upset, wasn't it?
Yeah, you didn't, did you? It didn't even warm the cold dead heart.
No, it didn't at all.
Did that transition not stick in your throat a little bit?
I was just a bit confused how they all of a sudden turned to like 80 years of age, yet the main fella is still, 50?
Yeah, he's 56, I think.
Do you know what I mean?
Episode 4, but yeah, he didn't age anywhere near as much as...
they were sat in the garden having a nice little tea party, and then it goes 2023. Obviously, one of them's in a wheelchair. One of them...
Bill looks like Santa Claus.
Yeah. Whilst he's swanning around with some little girl. Must have had all the Just for Men with him or something.
Yeah, Joel carries all the anti-aging creams in his backpack. Yeah. That's what it is. But that transition where it's it pans over the dead bodies that have all been burned, and there's that little bit of fabric with the rainbow on, and then it cuts to like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
With that same thing, and you're just like, oh, that sucks. Did that not get you at all?
None of it got me at all.
You horrible, dead-ass bastard.
I don't know. It was just, I'm expecting it. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting someone to get like, I don't know, say like they had a kid or something and they got shot, or there was a dog. Do you get what I mean?
There was a kid. That's what I'm saying. It was a baby.
They all were, they were going to die anyway. But they didn't show that happening, is what I mean. They didn't show that bit about. Obviously, you saw all the dead bodies and stuff, but obviously it's easy to put two and two together. But I would have expected for me to be sobbing.
A bit more shock value.
Yeah. So I was thinking, like, one bit that did get me, though, was obviously just two blokes. I'm like, oh, hang on. Obviously, I don't know if that's in the game, but I'm just sat there and drinking and like,
I think it's more hinted at in the game than flat out thrown in your face like it was on that. But it was a nice little episode. It was nice to see their relationship develop despite them being you basically. He was a fucking curmudgeonly old bastard like you.
I just thought he was playing the piano, and then all of a sudden it's like, there we go. What's happened?
Whoa! Not my Teddy!
I'm just so confused. I kind of suspected it because I was laughing to myself. I was like, so he saved his life, and he turned around and like, you know what? I've saved your life now. You know what you need to do. He went and did it. I was just like,
know what payment I desire. What about this week's episode 4? Back to Joel and Ellie, at least.
That was the other thing what annoyed me about episode 3. There was just so much going on about this. There's two fellas that didn't really mean an awful lot, let's be honest.
It was a big departure.
He built his own
community. Departure from the game as well, to be honest.
But Joel and Ellie, I mean, the ending's all right, I guess. Obviously, they've been captured. Or we don't know if they've been captured by someone who got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff on their eyes. Yes, that's what they look like.
They did. I'll give you that. They did, but they are just kids. So, again, this one was more closely aligned with the game. So you kind
this is the issue because I've not played the game. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of things. Whereas if I played it, I would have picked up on so many different things.
Yeah, this is what I wondered, like whether not having played the game is an advantage or a disadvantage while you're watching it, and I'm beginning to feel it's a bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, it's like whenever I've read, I'm going off of like biographies, but any book about a person, and then I've watched a film about them, whenever I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, that's that person in the book, or that's that person. Do you know what I mean?
You missed that bit out. I was looking forward to that.
Whereas with this, obviously, I've not played the game, so I'm not thinking, oh, that's what's going to happen now. What's going to happen? How are they going to portray it?
Yeah. Fair dues.
But I'm not going to go spend £400 on a PlayStation just to play the
game. just give it a go. I'm waiting for it to come onto Steam. I'm going to play through it again on PC. Well, if I ever earn enough money to have disposable income to buy games again. Anyway, there was something else I was going to bring up that's not on the bloody list. Hopefully, I'll have to come back to it. I've got Wakanda Forever. I watched it last week. Very, very not happy with that film.
Yeah, same here.
What an absolute load of shite. Yes, Angela Bassett was amazing.
Just so much hype and that was for a bang average movie.
It had an impossible mountain to climb. It had to deal with the death of Chadwick Boseman. I get that. But in a film called Black Panther Wakanda Forever, to wait 2 hours before you see Black Panther What the fuck?
The reveal wasn't good either for me. I knew it was coming. I was like, oh, please don't tell me it's going to be Suri. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, it is. What a surprise.
Right. Makes no sense. We've not seen Have we seen a fight? I thought it was the whole point was that she doesn't fight because she's the brain behind it all.
She had them gauntlets, didn't she? Which she did use again in this book. So.
Did she fight? Did she fight much in the first one, like actual hand-to-hand fighting, rather than just
hand-to-hand? No, she just had them gauntlets.
That's what I mean. That shit matters, doesn't it? If you've not showed this character to be fighting, why do you think we're going to get excited just because you tell us to? That really wound me up.
Also, the suit is supposed to absorb power for her to use again.
Yes.
And not once did she do that. She got her ass kicked and it didn't absorb the power and she wasn't able to fire it back at them. I was just like, oh, so much about this sucks. And the one thing that annoys the shit out of us, and it's the pronunciation of the villain's name. He calls himself Namor. Everyone else calls him Namor.
Namor, yeah.
He introduced himself as Namor, so that's what you fucking call him.
Yeah.
It's like me calling you Christian.
Yeah.
You introduce yourself as Crippy, I'll call you Crippy.
Yeah, exactly.
That pissed me off. And I know like everyone's saying it's Namor in the comics, but how do you know it's written down? It's your interpretation. It's not like nailed on.
I was worried about him as well when I first saw him because I was like, oh, the ankle thing looks a bit stupid on screen.
Shit.
Looks a bit silly.
It looks shit on the page.
When they stopped doing close-ups of it was fine. But I was like, yeah, you're making him look like Peter Pan. This isn't good. But like when they did the long shots, it was fine because you didn't see it as much. It just looked really goofy when they tried to do that cool close shot. And I was like, yeah, this doesn't look cool at all. This looks really stupid.
They still haven't
Yeah.
nailed down gravity and movement and like.
No. Yeah, the way he bounces off doesn't seem right to me. The way I get that he's meant to be good with agility, but you are ignoring how physics works too.
Yeah, you still got to play by the rules of gravity. Still there.
Yeah.
Just because you can defy it a little bit doesn't make you rubbery and bouncy.
It's frustrating because the money they put into these movies now, the effort levels are going down. It's like it feels like they're just saying, "Oh, that'll do. Yeah, that'll do. We just got to get this bit done by this time. That'll do." And all the fans will still like it. They'll still watch it.
Ironheart looks shit.
I know.
I mean, what we're 15 years on or something from Iron Man, which looked a lot better. And
yes, I know.
Seriously though, where's the effort?
Yeah, I know. And where's the build-up? They're just throwing new characters in and just saying we're not even going to give you standalone movies or even bait it in previous movies now. You're just going to have to live with it. We're going to introduce this character in the movie 20 minutes in, and they're going to be important to the story, and that's it. So, okay, great. If you don't read the comics, that's your loss.
3 years later, we'll do a film about them probably.
Yeah. When
we've got nothing else to write
established.
Yeah, Son of Black Panther. That's definitely coming.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah. The only reason I remember any of this is because I watched the honest trailer for it last night. Because
it's
otherwise I'd forgotten the entire film the next day.
Yeah.
Like when I said in the chat the next day, I was like, I'm still pissed off about Black Panther.
Yeah.
And it was because I can't fucking remember it. I watched it the day before and it was nearly 3 hours.
Yeah, long. Way too long. Way too long. No need for it to be that long.
Happened. So yeah, Marvel's slipping, and with all the changes coming to DC, they really need to watch their backs.
Yeah, they got arrogant, didn't they? As we knew they would. And again, I know it's hard to keep up with your standards, but this is people like with Thor. The Thor movie as well was terrible. They just ripped it apart. Things, they've made such weird decisions with some of their movies, and it's ruined characters moving forward. Because I don't know if we're going to see another Thor movie, are we? I don't know.
I don't think so after that.
So that's pissed me off. That's the last iteration we're going to see of him, and probably of Hemsworth playing that character. I say Black Panther, both movies to me I just haven't enjoyed. And it feels like you can't say you enjoy it because there's a cultural impact that is greater than the movie itself, which I get that, but the movies aren't living up to that expectation at all.
No.
And and calling it award winning as well really pisses me off. It really does piss me off at all. Because I was so not happy with that movie. I thought, well, maybe it's going to be entertaining because they wanted Chadwick Boseman in it, and it's sad that he died. But they've had years to plan for this. Marvel surely want to make this an emotional movie, and they drum it into you at the start, don't they? And it's like, okay, my God, yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to give us a new Black Panther until, like you say, until the last third of the movie.
1 hour 58 minutes, I think it was. And again, honest trailers. They highlighted it last night, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" I knew it took a while, but 2 hours.
Not that long.
That's exhausting.
Because I nearly messaged when I was watching it, there's not enough Black Panther in this Black Panther.
I know. Yeah.
I don't know. It properly wound me up.
It's bizarre because you could almost make a movie in between a new Black Panther coming out, couldn't you? They could also have a movie that explains, or I think like a series or something that is.
Have one of them Disney Plus series.
Yeah.
Let us watch Shuri transform from
exactly.
Go through that whole thing of being the little girl who's destroyed by her brother's death.
Yeah,
and have her build up to become the new Black Panther, and then have a movie about.
Would make way more sense. She gets angry. She gets vengeance. She wants to harm people because she hasn't dealt with her emotions. That should take time to develop. But it's weird how the first phase of Marvel, and I guess phase 2 as well, they actually had character development. Where now it's more so, she has to meet this mark by this point in the movie, even if it doesn't make sense. She just has to. We have to have her turn at this point in the movie, and it's like you haven't developed this at all.
And they did the same with Namor as well. And it was like,
yeah.
I want to kill everybody, but maybe you shouldn't. Okay. All right. That's how they're dealing with that.
Yeah.
Fucking lazy.
I know.
And that brings me on to my next rant. I was watching the new series of Quantum Leap. I'm a geek and I like Quantum Leap. And it reminded me of another episode or two of SWAT. I don't know if you watched the rebooted SWAT as well. But it seems that these days, every popular TV show has to have an episode that is more like a public service announcement for a social injustice. On the back of the George Floyd thing, Black Lives Matter was kicking off and everything. And SWAT became Black Lives Matter for like 3 episodes. It was just hammering you over the head with that. And Quantum Leap's gone on Trans Lives thing. It did an episode about a trans kid. Great, fantastic. These points need to be made, and using popular TV shows to do it is probably a good way to reach people that other media can't reach. But what's pissing me off is how these things are shot and filmed and written. It's just like, there was like a section in this Quantum Leap episode where it was just like slow panning into the faces of these trans kids while someone's having a rant as narration. And it's like, okay, that's a PSA. This isn't the episode anymore. This doesn't serve the story. Yeah. If you're a clever enough writer, you can write the story and get everyone to think, oh yeah, maybe my thinking's wrong. And the episode did a good job of that, aside from these bits where it was just clubbing you over the head with the message. Yeah. And it's that pisses me off. I was like, I feel horrible because this is a very, very important message and a very important episode. But like you say, overcorrecting.
Yeah.
You're trying too hard and it's pissing on your own point now.
Yeah. And it's awkward because even the people that they're talking about find it hard to watch these because they feel they're being pandered to as well.
Yeah,
it doesn't it feels disingenuous sometimes that they feel they have to cover this in an episode, but because they don't have any actual real world experience of being around these kind of people, they don't really know how to touch upon it in a realistic way. So they, like I said, they overcorrect, they go way too overboard with it, they make it way, way, way too emotional, and they treat everything with trauma. It always has to be trauma. It can't be a positive story. Yeah. It's always trauma, isn't it? To really hammer that home. It's like, no, we really care. But it's all trauma. And even people, let's say queer people are saying, like, why not have positive stories about these characters? Why not just have a positive character that is queer but doesn't have to have been beaten up for being queer when they were younger? Why not have it reflect some people that exist in this day? Not every person is persecuted for being queer. Exactly. You know, not every person is persecuted for their race. So why not have positive iterations of these people? So then queer people can go, oh, that's cool. You know, they're like me, rather than told that, you know, you are always going to be a victim in our society, and this is how we see you. We see you as a lame dog that needs our sympathy, rather than
that we need to pick up and rally around.
Exactly. I know that they think they're doing the right thing, but if you actually spoke to queer people and you know, got a sense of their lives, I think they'd be treated in a different way when it comes to how they're shown on screen. Because it's painful watching how every show that covers this topic does it with trauma in mind, emotional trauma, to be sad, to get those tears, and then it looks like they care. But that, like I say, that doesn't reflect a lot of people's lives. A lot of people are happy. They're happy with who they are, and they've had a good life growing up, and they haven't had that story told yet because it doesn't get as many views online. It doesn't go viral or whatnot. So it's frustrating.
This episode of Quantum Leap, if they just took the PSA bit out, it would have worked really well. It did lean on the trauma thing. It used that as the vehicle of like overcoming the adversity and gaining acceptance and stuff. But it worked. There was good dialogue with certain characters that sent out that positive message. But when it starts beating you over the head, all I think is, imagine being that guy who hates queer people.
Yeah.
And then you're watching this, and all he's going to be thinking about now is, I'm going to go and review bomb the shit out of this. It's gone woke. It's gone
Yeah.
Right, you just ruined your own point. You haven't done it subtly enough to change the minds of the people that matter.
Yeah.
It's lazy.
Because they feel they're being preached to. They feel they're being, it doesn't feel like they're being respected as people. It feels like they're being told, you need to abide by this, and we're going to hammer this home.
Yeah. Like the last season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. They took a year off when, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But obviously Black Lives Matter kicked off, and part of that was like defund the police. Everyone sort of turned on American cops. So Brooklyn Nine-Nine was sort of like, we should take a year off. Things are a bit too charged at the minute. And
I do remember that,
overcorrected, like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're taking the comedy out of it now because you're so worried about getting the message across that not all cops are bad.
Yeah.
They even had one character leave the force because of things like that. And it's like, okay, come on.
That storyline wouldn't have been in the story earlier in the seasons. It seems out of place.
It's a madcap comedy.
Show was. Yeah. I'd say there are gay characters in the show, aren't there? That they're just normal characters. Yeah. They're funny. They have personalities aside from what their sexual preference is. So it's irrelevant in a way. They're just funny characters.
Doesn't matter. Just does me nothing. Like I say, overcorrecting isn't helping anybody, and I think there's just too much of it going on. I think it's easy enough for me to say as a straight white man, I suppose. But
on that, Ash, I saw Empire of the Sun a few weeks ago, and in that there's a racial thing in that where there's a black guy that works in the cinema. And he's got, I think it's the Brixton riots back in the 80s, I think it was, a few decades ago anyway. And all the skinheads were getting angry because there's an influx of immigrants in the country. I know, shock. So different to how the times are now. The black guy in the cinema was a target for people because he's black. And I get that it's like an important story to tell. But if you want to tell that story, it felt like doing it in this specific movie wasn't right because it was so totally different to how the rest of the movie was. It felt jarring to watch. And as I'm watching it, I was rolling my eyes because I was like, yeah, I know, I get racism exists. And again, I'm black, so I've had shit said to me. But I don't need to be told this every time I watch a fucking movie because it's just painful. The way they handle it is always shit. They always go so overboard where someone will get their head kicked in, and that's not been my experience of racism at all. It's far more subtle than that for me personally. So I just roll my eyes when I see that because some people watch that and they feel sort of anxious of their existence because they think, oh my God, black people are getting killed for this. It's like, yeah, somewhere, but that's not my experience. And yet every movie you watch is always the worst type of racism shown on screen. It's why I couldn't watch Till in the cinema either, because again, that's a horrific story, but it just feels like I'm getting beaten over the head with this kind of stuff. And it's like, is it all you see black people is you see us as just trauma? You just think that our lives are just based on trauma. We can't have any good experiences in life. We can't have good people around us.
Every black person's had a hard life.
Yeah, it's so frustrating because it feels like the director's like, oh no, I hear you. It's like, no, you don't hear us. You don't hear us. You feel you're doing this out of guilt, and this doesn't absolve you of guilt. And you shouldn't even feel guilty on behalf of others. Just talk to people. Talk to people and see what our experiences really are. Don't just tell us that we should feel sad because this has happened 40 years ago. So I do agree with you, Ash, because I felt the same way watching that movie. It felt so out of place, and it just pissed me off seeing it.
I'm glad because I put this on the list this morning and like without any warning to you, and I thought, I don't know, this is going to go down. Like, am I being a grumpy dick for like going off on this tangent? But it absolutely winds us up. Liam's been remarkably quiet. Have you noticed anything like this? Have you been racially abused for being ginger?
Just now. No, I mean, it happens in every thing I've ever watched. So I watched Scandal. I've watched all of Scandal. I remember an episode, and I think it's called like The Lawn Chair or something, where it's based on obviously an event that happened at the time, but the whole episode is just about that. But the difference is with Scandal, that entire series is built on things that actually happen, which is so it's fair enough. But like you're saying, Brooklyn Nine-Nine taking a year out just to not get bad publicity. It's a bit,
Yeah.
And then, like I say, coming back with Rosa's left the force because she couldn't stand seeing all the racial injustice. Where were you 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Where was this concern at the start of the series?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not brand new, is it?
Holt mentions it a lot that he got looked over for captain for years for being black and gay.
Mm.
So it's not like it just come out of the blue. Holt's been dealing with that for years. So why all of a sudden is Rosa taking a stance?
But it felt derailed. Did it feel they derailed the show to make that
totally
point? Yeah.
And it was just the writers going, how can we show that we support,
we care? Yeah.
There'll be some people that be like, you know what, they've nailed that. They've absolutely nailed that.
Yeah. Oh, bravo! Yes.
I know.
Let's be honest, white upper class people.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
White rich people. Yes, you've definitely dealt with that. Yes, I felt so bad for the black fellow. Yeah.
But it's literally like they watched Get Out and missed the fucking context of what Jordan Peele was saying. He was literally calling out white liberals for that thing of like, oh, I love the black folk. Is that shit? That's what he was talking about, and that context has been missed by so many in that do movies and whatnot.
Oh, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, and then you get the overcorrection. Like, John does it spot on, subtle, nice, and then you get beating you over the head, and neither of them seems to work.
I know, because like I say, you get the two people. You get people that will just outright say something to you, but you also get the people that are like, they'll say they'll come up to me and they'll just mention the black friend they have, and it's like, what can you do with that? I don't know every black person in the world. It's weird, and that's what it feels like directors are doing. It's like they feel, oh no, we've got a black character in there, so we have to make sure they don't think we're. We have to make sure we know we're with them. We see you, brother. That kind of thing. It's just cringeworthy.
I've got a question, then, Crippy. I've got a question.
Yes.
So, have you noticed more black people on TV adverts for everything?
Oh, yeah. They're overcorrecting. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, how the hell do you feel about this? Because like, obviously, all of a sudden, every family is mixed race.
Yeah.
And gay. And it's like, all right, we get it. There's diversity in the world, but there are still white couples.
The problem is
black couples, there are still straight couples.
This is the thing. No one's got any restraint. So it went from being you wouldn't see many black faces in the media to now they're obviously thinking black people first. So you're getting the swing of it now. And I guess it'll take a few years for it to even out. But the problem is American culture affects our culture a lot, where you have
too much.
If there's not enough black people in the show or something, they're going to complain about it. Like with Friends. Friends is one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. I love it. But it's the whitest show on the planet. It is.
Yeah,
and that's a fact it is. We can't change that fact. It's already been created. But because people are now watching Friends, because it's still part of our culture, everyday culture, they're going, oh my God, there's no black people in it. And then the creator of the show gave money to like a black charity and apologized for it. And it's like, yeah, we get that. But it's like, this is now gone. You can't change Friends as it is. So you're going to have to just move on. Is what it is. It's of its time. But I've seen, there's definitely an overcorrection. And it's always like, oh, here we go again, kind of thing. Like I said, obviously, I like seeing diversity on the screen because it shows some people just don't see black faces around. Same with like, I think it's like with stuff like pets. I get barked at a lot by dogs because dogs don't see black faces if they've got white owners. It's little things like that people would take for granted that I deal with. But I also don't like feeling pandered to by people that haven't lived my life as well. That pisses me off a lot when people claim that they get it.
Yeah, TV shows and things like that, they go through all these focus groups. And yet it seems they're entirely missing the point.
Yeah.
They
think they tick that box.
Bringing in the right people to talk to.
Of course, no.
It's batshit mental. It does make me insane, and I'm glad I'm on the right side of it.
It's like I remember with like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they would cover topics like that, but because it's already a black show, it was far more subtle than other shows would have been, and it worked. And also, it's not as if they weren't talking about their color throughout the show as well. So when they had a show that probably leaned a bit more on racial stereotypes, it was still relevant and it didn't feel too jarring because the show was built around that anyway. Obviously, it was about a black character living in a rich neighborhood kind of thing.
No, the one episode that sticks out is when Will and Carlton are driving the dad's friend's car.
Wherever
they're meeting up, and they get pulled over, and Will's like, "Don't say anything, hands on the wheel." And obviously Carlton gets out. It's like, "How are we?" He's like, "Don't do anything." All of a sudden they're arrested. And Carlton's like, "But why? But why?" It's like, really?
Yeah.
And obviously Will's fuming because he's like, "I'm telling you, like, I know what's going on. It happens to me all the time." But because Carlton's been brought up in this, basically, he's been brought up as like a white guy because he's literally got all the money in comparison to Will, and it's completely different. So he's no idea what's actually going on.
Yeah, he's been shielded from it.
Yeah.
Again, back to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, they did a class episode of Terry gets stopped in the street, like on the street that he lives, by a racist copper. And he was going to arrest him until he said he was a police officer and saying, "Oh, if I'd known, I would never would have." Like, well, you shouldn't have anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
And the episode comes around like all about that, and it's like, right, that is how you do it. It feels real.
Yeah.
We know that happens.
Yeah.
And you're not. Well, it did get a little bit preachy, but it didn't beat you over the head, not like this Quantum Leap episode or 3 episodes of SWAT where it was just about when I grew up in this neighborhood. We get it, we know. But you've just got to... It's a hard line to toe, I imagine.
But also it's the timing, is because it feels like if you think this is so important, why didn't you do this 10 years ago? Yeah. This has always existed. This isn't a new phenomenon. What's happened? So, but you didn't think it was a priority back then. You only think it is now, and that's why everyone's doing it at the same time. And it just feels so unoriginal because, like, you clearly didn't think it was worth talking about 10 years ago because you know your audience. So that's what's the most frustrating about it.
Yeah, I started writing a screenplay last year before. Another one that's just fallen by the wayside because I'm a lazy bastard. But I was sending it to somebody to read through and check, and he was like, "Oh, I know somebody who works at the BBC," and he was like giving his notes on it, saying, "Right, you need to make sure there's a black character in there. You need to make sure that there's queer character in there because they eat that shit up."
Yeah,
and it's almost like they've got the checklist in front of them now. Is there a black character? Yeah. Is there a queer character? Yeah. Is there white characters? Yeah. Right, we've got every demographic covered, so that one can pass through. And if you don't meet those requirements, it doesn't get made anymore.
So, do you care about the story? No, just want to make sure that we keep certain people happy.
Make sure that everyone's represented.
Which is more disrespectful because it's like you watch it and you know how insignificant these characters are, and it's like great. So you don't really care, do you? You don't care. You know, yours is even worse because you're disingenuous about it. You claim that you bring people together, but the way you treat the characters is pathetic. So yeah.
Yeah, you're only doing it because you've been called out on it.
Yeah. Something you should have done 15 years ago and subtly rather than make everything about that now.
Hey, this took a turn, didn't it?
But it's something that is...
Should we start a political podcast next week?
It's becoming... So we're just seeing a lot, aren't we? That's the problem. And it's because we feel that their actions aren't genuine. That's what the annoyance is. We see it and we know it, so they can say, "No, see, I've done this. I really care," and we feel that it's not genuine.
Yeah, it's not the effort that we're not applauding. It is the way, it's the execution, and also the sort of the reasoning behind it.
It's self-serving. Feels very self-serving to me.
Totally disingenuous. Anyway, we'll move on to something a bit more fun. Have you watched the trailer for Cocaine Bear?
Yeah, I've seen it a few times.
Cocaine Bear.
I'm so excited for Cocaine Bear. Yeah. I've just done a piece on it this morning on the 13threal.com. I watched the trailer again today. I can't wait. I just can't wait. It's like Snakes on a Plane, but better.
Yeah, it's a true story, Liam, as well.
Well, I'm just looking at the cast list, and Ice Cube's son's in it.
Yeah.
And Jesse Tyler Ferguson from Modern Family.
I didn't even see him the first time.
So
I watched it.
You didn't notice him with his stupid mustache?
The mustache and the wig. I didn't even click it was him until this morning. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, and Scott Sice of TikTok fame as well.
I don't know who that is.
If TikTok people who they'll know him off TikTok because he did loads of skits about being an IKEA worker, and he would just do skits about how he just hates his customers. It's just pretty funny, just like little segments. But yeah, he's on there. He can clearly act.
Ray Liotta, his last completed film.
Unbelievable. Elizabeth Banks directed it, I think, as well.
I didn't realize that until today. It was Elizabeth Banks. It just looks so fucking funny.
Yeah.
I did look up at how much of it was true because I was like, nah. But it is.
Hyped up. Yeah, it's true story. They obviously made the bear a bit bigger, I think, from what really happened.
They made the bear bigger and survive. The bear in real life OD'd and died.
Of course.
But
Pablo Escobar.
But the premise of cartel dumping the product in the woods and a bear getting into it is just mint. But
it feels like that could happen as well, doesn't it? Obviously, it did happen. But
it did happen.
Yeah, and it's like, this is a funny story to tell.
I just love the fact that
next it'll be like cocaine dolphin or something.
That could be next. If this is successful, they'll definitely bring out another one for sure. They will.
Yeah, there'll be some low, but there you go, Ash. Start it. Crack
on.
Cocaine dolphin. It's like
I'll only get 20 pages in and then I'll drop it like a bad habit, like I do with every screenplay. Just howling at the trailer this morning.
I know. It's got to be entertaining, hasn't it? That's a movie you watch when, you stick it on the background and everyone has a good time.
One point where the bear does a line off a severed limb. I was like, that's fucking brilliant. I can't wait. Anyway, that's brought the mood back up a little bit.
I'm surprised there's not a Netflix documentary about that. That's something they would cover quite quickly, isn't it? They've been restrained.
I wouldn't be surprised if one comes out in line with the film, like a week later or something. Apparently, the actual bear is on display in a museum somewhere.
Yeah, taxidermied in Lexington, Kentucky. Apparently,
that's amazing. I'm going
only in America.
I'm not because never mind leave the country. Right, have we got anything else we want to cover? Should we mention Dave? Should we get him a bit excited for Dave? Because you didn't do your homework.
You just need to watch it. I mean, the first 20 seconds are just so funny as well. The first 20 seconds of it are just so funny.
It was the line where he said, my dick's made up of balls. I was like, right, I'm in. You've got it. But it's class. Like that does racial humor funny as well. Like that does it right. It's on the edge, but it works.
Little Dicky just doesn't care. That's the thing. Like, and he's just so funny with everything he does. Like all of his music
I had no idea who
like
he
that.
was, but I will be diving down the Little Dicky rabbit hole because I promise you I'd watched one last night before I went to bed, and I ended up watching 4, I think.
Yeah.
And as soon as this is done, I'm going to go and watch some more because it just absolutely hit me just exactly on the funny bone. It's like, yeah, this is classic.
Crippy,
you need to watch it. You need to watch it today.
Well, there's
everyone down.
There's a third season to come out, isn't there? So yeah, this is again. I'm always like 10 years late to watching shows that were popular, but if I can get on The Last of Us early, I'll actually get an opinion.
Why that's still on?
Exactly. Yeah, and same with Dave.
His dick's made of balls. Fantastic.
It's just brilliant. Like I said, I hate you funny bone, but it's just non-stop laughing.
Yeah,
literally. The first 20 seconds, it's just so funny.
I was convinced I wasn't going to like it because, like I said, I didn't know who Little Dicky was, and I felt like that was a big part of enjoying the show. So I was like, okay, this is going to go over my head. And then it's all about rap, something I don't know anything about. Didn't matter. Did not matter. Absolutely quality.
There is one thing though that's coming out tomorrow on Netflix. I don't know if you've ever watched it.
I watched the first series.
Yeah, same. I didn't like the second one, so I got turned off by it. I really loved the first one. I thought it was good.
I mean, it is.
That they killed off.
Say samey, but like the next one's coming out. Part 1 is coming out tomorrow or Friday, whatever they decide, and then they'll do a part 2, like in March, I think it is.
Interesting.
Like as in,
like they did with Stranger Things.
Oh right, so they're going to like chop it up like half season 1,
yeah,
and then a couple episodes.
Right, I might get caught up then, and then we can discuss.
I've got a ton of stuff to watch now. This is ridiculous. I can watch one thing a week.
But you can watch
next week you'll have Dr. Right. So.
All 2 seasons of Dave to watch. Watch them
at least the day. Yeah, they're not long episodes of Dave, are they? So that's the benefit.
No, they're only 20 minutes
long.
Yeah,
20 minutes. Yeah.
I'm annoyed at myself because I went to bed after watching 4, but I totally wasn't tired. I didn't get to sleep till about 6:00 this morning, so I should have just stayed up and kept watching. Anyway, we've managed to do 55 minutes on this.
Woo. Yeah, not bad at all.
Anyway, we will be back next week after watching Memento, which will be good, I think.
And me, Puss in Boots. I'll give you all a thorough review of Puss in Boots.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see if we go. I mean, you liked Nightcrawler, didn't you, Liam? So
yeah.
We're 1 for 2. Let's see if we even the score next week.
I watched 3 because I watched what was the one? Drive, what was it called?
Lock. Drive is good.
Lock you didn't like.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler you did like. The Raid you weren't too keen on. So yeah, can we even it up? I'm sure you'll like Memento. It is a bloody good film.
I hope so.
And fingers crossed that it chucks out one of your suggestions next week.
If it doesn't, I think we just need to respin until I get one. Just one.
Yeah.
Right, we'll do that then. We'll do a guaranteed Liam pick next week. But
yeah,
we'll add more to the list as well. Try and give you a bit more of an advantage. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this episode, hit the likey button, sharey button, subscribey buttons, and tell everybody, because we're not getting any views yet. That just sucks, because I think this is a damn good podcast. And also, you can check out our thoughts on the 13thReel.com, which is mostly my thoughts at the minute, because you guys haven't contributed shit yet.
Very little work rate.
I'm going to go with Crippy there, like, what?
You what, sorry? Got a bit with
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got no excuse after next week, Crippy.
Well, laziness is an excuse, I'd say.
Other than the fact it doesn't pay.
Yeah.
I think that's my main issue. It's like it's my site and I don't write for it because I don't make any money off it.
Yeah.
'Tis what it is. The life of a greedy ass paid writer. Does not work for free. Right. We should end this. don't you think? I've tried to end it 3 times now and we're still here. Bugger off.
Oh, you just left.
Oh no. I think we're still recording.
Oh, that's so me.
There he is.
I don't know what happened.
He's still laughing.
Oh, it absolutely sent me west.
Should we do a proper ending then, just to tidy it up?
Yeah, I should probably actually edit this one, shouldn't I? If you have enjoyed this episode, please do hit like buttons, share buttons, subscribe buttons, tell everybody about it, and keep up with things on 13thReel.com. And we will see you next week after having watched Memento. Thanks for joining us again, lads, and I'll see you in a week's time.